Do we want to go ahead and dive into a Twitter war with Lane Kiffin and Bret Bielema?
Yes, Lane Kiffin and Bret Bielema are in a Twitter war over which 9-3 team should get into the college football playoff. I kid you not, Dave.
Okay.
So, for context,
tell it to me. What do you got?
Both Illinois and Ole Miss are 9-3 teams, and they're in the top 25. Lane Kiffin is, you talk about Shane Beamer, is doing his job, and he tweeted out yesterday at 5:46 p.m. the resumes on why Ole Miss should go. And here's what he tweeted out. I don't know where he got this from because it looks like it came from a phone, but it doesn't like show. So this up himself, something Lane Kiffin would probably do. But
wait, you broke up. Repeat what you just said.
Lane Kiffin has shared a screenshot that's breaking down stats that favor Ole Miss as a 9-3 team. It looks like it came from a phone, but we don't know whose phone. So Lane Kiffin, funny enough, could have just written this out himself and pretended he was sharing it, that somebody is sharing it from somebody else. But here's what it says. After all the chaos yesterday, there looks to be 3 bubble teams fighting for the last remaining playoff spot. All 3 are 9-3 and represent the SEC, Ole Miss, South Carolina, Alabama. He says South Carolina lost to both of them, and their best win is Clemson. Ole Miss and Alabama's best win is Georgia. Georgia beat Clemson 34-3. Safe to say that South Carolina is out, and it's between Ole Miss and Alabama. Ole Miss has 9 wins, outscoring their opponents by 296. Alabama has 9, outscoring their opponents by 252. In 3 losses, Ole Miss was outscored by 13. Alabama was outscored by 33. Common opponents, both beat Georgia, but Ole Miss won by more. Both beat South Carolina, but Ole Miss won by more. Alabama beat LSU. Ole Miss lost to LSU in overtime. Ole Miss beat Oklahoma. Alabama lost to Oklahoma. And then he ends with, clearly Ole Miss should be in the playoff over Alabama, but Bama is the bigger brand and more likely will get in over Ole Miss. By the way, that doesn't make any sense. What Dave shared, what Lane Kiffin shared literally shows that their resumes are even. So the tiebreaker should be Alabama for actually beating for actually having a higher strength of schedule than Ole Miss. But okay. Let's go back. Let's go to Bret Bielema at this point, who tweets at Lane Kiffin. I couldn't agree more, Lane Kiffin. Here is a thought for the college football playoff. Ole Miss is number 31 ranked strength of schedule and has 3 losses to unranked Kentucky, Florida, and an 8-4 LSU team. Illinois has the number 30th ranked strength of schedule. It has 3 losses to number 1 Oregon, number 4 Penn State, and a 1 possession game to Minnesota. How about we just take the best 12 teams and see where it goes? So you have Lane Kiffin and Bret Bielema jockeying for that final spot in the college football playoff that I'm telling you guys is going to go to Alabama. And this is just like the hilarious catfight.
I think it's definitely going to Alabama. And the two, surprisingly enough, given how they look, can actually battle on girlfriend status because Bret Bielema's got a pretty good looking one that he picked up in the athletic department there and just met at Las Vegas randomly. But have you seen her, Mrs. Bielema?
I have not, but is that where the comment comes over here? Are they fighting over the same 23-year-old?
Yeah, maybe. That's the one thing they have in common.
Is that why they're at odds right now?
Yes. So
Lane Kiffin stole his girlfriend.
I mean, you do know the Bret Bielema story, right?
Where he picked up some rando in Vegas.
Well, no, she wasn't random. She worked in the athletic department at Arkansas. And they just wanted to make it look like they met there. They didn't just meet there.
Oh, okay. So they set up a whole trip to Vegas to make it pretend like they met in Vegas.
Because they didn't let HR know, apparently.
So, Dave, let's be honest. Do you think Lane Kiffin is trolling with this whole like soliloquy, or was he really trying to make a case for Ole Miss to get in?
I think he knows that they're not getting in, Caleb, and like you said, somebody handed him some info and he just threw it out there.
So he's basically Lane Kiffin is the Elon Musk of college football, isn't he? Just kind of trolling people on Twitter all the time. Elon Musk now just trolls people all the time, like kind of like mad genius, you know what I mean? And Lane Kiffin's kind of that, but like, what is Bret Bielema doing inserting himself? And that's the question. Like, Illinois doesn't have Dave. Illinois' best win is over Nebraska.
I haven't even heard Illinois be mentioned as far as being a member of the college football playoff.
No, because they're They are 9-3, and they have literally no quality wins. They beat 3 teams in the top 25. Okay, but let me break down those teams real quick. Kansas, who was number 19 at the time, but Kansas finished 5-7. Nebraska, who was number 22 at the time, but finished 6-6. And then Michigan, who was number 24 at the time, but finished 7-5. Let's be honest here for a minute. Come on. When you take those 3 things into account, you got to sit there and say that Illinois is not Ole Miss's level, one, because Ole Miss has a quality win over Georgia, or Alabama's level. And so it comes down to Alabama or Ole Miss. There is no head-to-head. Don't you agree, Dave, that when there is no head-to-head, if there's a substantial difference in schedule strength, that should make the difference?
I can roll with that. I got no problem with that. If that's what you want to do, strength of schedule would be, if no head-to-head, the determining factor.
I totally agree. So let's ask this question with what Lane Kiffin and Bret Bielema are doing. This is the other thing I warned you guys would happen. Y'all thought controversy would end with expanding the playoff. It's gotten deeper. It's gotten worse because now you have 9-3 teams fighting over who should go. If you are a 9-3 team, it's one thing to be a 11-1 team fighting for this number 2 spot, right? To go to the national title, or maybe the number 4 spot.
Yeah, but I think 9-3, you have no right to gripe if you don't make it. Is that where you're going?
Yes, that's where I'm going. You have no right to gripe if you don't make it at 9-3. Not only do you not have any right to gripe, do you look like you're just doing your job to promote your program, or do you look like an utter whiner if you're whining at 9-3 to say you deserve to get in?
I think you're supposed to promote your program, especially when it's objective and it's in the minds of these committee members, some of which I don't know if they've watched any of the games this year.
I mean, we agree with you. We agree with each other on that. There's proof they don't watch the games.
So I think it's, I think they watch highlights, which would probably benefit Ole Miss. Just Ole Miss can't lose that game to Kentucky. That's not even a good Kentucky team. And it was at home.
It was at home. It's one thing for Ohio State to lose to Michigan at home, which they shouldn't do. But Michigan finished 7-5, and that's a rivalry game. I think you and I both agree anything can happen to those type of games, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky's a bad football team, guys. And you lost to them at home. And then you have a loss to a 5-7 team and a loss to a 7-5 team. Now, I get it. I guess we could say Florida speaking at the right time in a top 25 caliber team. But they did finish the year 7-5, Dave. They didn't finish like 9-3.
Yep.
And I'm sorry. I think Lane Kiffin, I don't think there's any case you can make for Ole Miss. It's Alabama. If there's a 3-loss team that's going to get in, it's Alabama. And guys, I'm sorry. It should be Alabama.